This is a tale of ink. The black ink that is wiped on a newsprint, cut, folded, bound, and delivered out to racks and front porches across the country every morning. The tale of ink, deep red, that is challenging the journalism industry. Ink, on thin newsprint now yellowed with age, that has told the story of America's small towns since they first came to be. Charlotte Ray has known all about that ink from an early age, when her mother put newspaper clippings out for her to read with breakfast. Charlotte, who grew up in Burlington, North Carolina, and graduated from Appalachian State in 2016, got her first journalism job out of college at the News of Orange County. At App State, she was a copy editor for the school paper before she became its managing editor. That's where she learned the process for creating a newspaper. It starts as little rectangles drawn into her gray moleskin notebooks, grows to bigger rectangles, and text on layout pages. Then, the pages full of text, photos, and advertisements are meticulously culled for errors and zipped off to the printing press. They'll be hauled back in neat stacks of newsprint and delivered to stands the next morning. As editor of the News of Orange, Charlotte was responsible for making the paper once per week, sending it to press every Tuesday night. Then, she would go on the local radio station once a week to talk about the paper and the biggest local stories. When she started at the News of Orange County, she was a staff writer. Over time, she was promoted from staff reporter to editor. At the News of Orange, she led a team that included Jeff Hamlin, the sports editor and a heavy metal fan who has covered local sports for decades, and Kim Cates, the office manager and resident true crime expert. Together, they craft the first draft of Hillsboro's history. Whether it's talking about growing congestion downtown or the latest crime news, Charlotte has her thumb on the pulse of the town. The paper's office, located feet from the old courthouse, has a pair of sweeping windows that give way to views of the street, rooting the paper in the town's life. And sometimes, for young people in the local newspaper business, it's time for a change. In early April, Charlotte packed up her coffee mugs and journalism books and started over at the Henderson Daily Dispatch as a staff writer. On her last day in Hillsboro, staff from the News of Orange and its related papers got together for lunch. It was a chance to share stories, like how she got hired, and to joke about baseball and the early days of the papers. The Henderson Daily Dispatch is larger than the News of Orange County, with 5 reporters on staff. As a staff writer again, she's writing instead of piecing together stories into layout pages. Henderson is a different town than Hillsboro, and nearly an hour commute from her home in Durham. But the most fundamental part of the job doesn't change. Whether it's community police forums in Hillsboro's town hall, where questions probe about use of force and hiring practices, or covering an Easter egg hunt in Henderson, where children run around decked out in bunny ears and sunglasses, or a fishing tournament at Lake Kerr, asking questions as fishermen wait in line, holding bags of their catch for the weigh-in. Charlotte is capturing the stories of people that, when pieced together, tell the stories of the small towns they make up. I think community journalism matters, Charlotte says. That's why I'm covering a fishing tournament. Charlotte loves the work, but says she's still grappling with the question of what her professional future looks like. My heart is in community journalism, but I know I have to support myself, she said. But for now, she tells the stories, sometimes 3 in one day, in sharp black ink, that bleeds onto newsprint and into the history of the towns, one paper at a time.